Because let's be honest, if you test 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 ads, odds are the vast majority of them are bad ideas. So if you're only spending 20% of that testing budget on a good idea, how much money are you actually spending on ads that are not only bad performance-wise, but actually also raising your CPMs and reducing your estimated action rate as an advertiser that ultimately hurts your ability to grow everything else that's already working? The most popular methodology people are using right now to test their creative on Facebook is using ABO, ad set budget optimization, and small budgets to test individually built out ads over a set period of time. Now, this makes sense because you're saying, well, I'm letting every ad get a fair shot. And this makes sense because you're saying, well, I'm only going to risk a little bit, and if it works well, I'm going to increase my budget, or I'm going to take it from my test campaign and put it into my scaling campaign. Logically, that makes sense on paper. However, when we break down what we're actually doing, we can see why this is a massive liability to your future. And don't worry, we're going to get into what you should be doing instead really quick. So, to look at it in a different way, what you're actually doing is saying, I'm going to predict exactly what Facebook users want to see. I'm going to invest a small amount of money so I get a little bit of data to see what's working well initially, what gets lucky early. And I'm going to make sure to invest as much or more in bad ideas as I do in good ones. Because let's be honest, if you test 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 ads, odds are the vast majority of them are bad ideas. So if you're only spending 20% of that testing budget on a good idea, how much money are you actually spending on ads that are not only bad performance-wise, but actually also raising your CPMs and reducing your estimated action rate as an advertiser that ultimately hurts your ability to grow everything else that's already working? Because yes, all of that is related. Facebook is evaluating how you behave and your relationship within the platform and how they view you as a business partner to ultimately monetize the attention that you provide on the platform. Facebook gives you the option of getting impressions. They sell you users' eyeballs for profit. Your responsibility is to make sure that that is not a liability to their bottom line and not forcing people to have a bad experience and want to leave Facebook. So when you build out, say, 10 ads and you launch them over the course of a week with, let's say, a small budget, and you're measuring for click-through rate and CPC and all this other stuff, what you're doing is spending probably 80, 90% of your budget on ads that aren't good to begin with. And you're telling Facebook that a bad idea that is a liability to their business model is as important or more important to you than actually making an ad that's any good. Plus, what we do from the next step, oh, if it's working, we're going to raise the budget, we're going to turn off bad ads. You're saying if something gets lucky on a few data points, if it gets 5 sales over the course of a week or 10 sales, or it does a little bit better, then we're going to spend all of our money there. Now, the honest truth is 2 or 3 is not a good data set. When we're running our testing, we have to understand that we need high confidence in our assets. And the biggest liability here is ultimately that the ads that win in testing when we're using ABO and we're trying to get retargeting ads and prospecting ads, and we're running against different audiences and we're doing all of these different variables. When you spread your dollars so thin that you get very little data on a whole lot of options, what you're basically doing is saying, I am not willing to invest in the development of good ideas that I have confidence in. I'm throwing as much stuff against the wall to see what gets lucky. And then ultimately, can I bet the future of my business on investing as much as possible in what I got lucky early on? You're basically playing a volume game with lottery tickets and trying to put your thumb on the scale. Now, you can be successful doing that. There is a version of success where a C+ or a B- is good for you. My suggestion to you, though, is don't define success as, well, I'm doing good enough. Because honestly, you deserve a lot better than that. And as you continue to test and your CPMs continue to rise and your costs on Facebook continues to grow because you're investing more and more money in ads that aren't good, so you're becoming a larger and larger liability to Facebook and their business model, and they see you as a worse and worse business partner. The only way to overcome that when you follow down that strategy and that path is to make more ads and to test faster. And so you're ultimately testing 10, 20, 30, 40 ads, potentially against different audiences or different landing pages, all spreading those dollars even thinner So you're getting even lower confidence across even greater amount of variables. Now, the honest truth is that is an unsustainable path, because either you're going to continue to be able to increase your budget, or you're going to have to make more content to take more and more lottery tickets to hopefully be able to pay off. Now, the problem here is, while you can stay ahead of the curve, eventually you're going to run out of time in the day, creatives that you can test, or money that you can invest. It's not a sustainable solution. And while you're doing that, you're also creating a situation where Facebook sees you as a less and less desirable business partner. Plus, you are betting more and more of your business's future on unproven assets that have never been actually able to deliver you a projectable result. Now, no matter who you are, when we're running a test, if we can't predict the outcome, if the outcome isn't predictable, then that test isn't finished. If you get something with 2 sales and something with 5 sales, or the CTRs here is good, or the first time impression rate of this one, whatever, none of those things say, I know week in, week out that this is going to come in at a CPA of X. If you can't say with extreme confidence what the output of that test is going to be, then that test isn't finished. And ultimately, if you're investing $50 on a few ads here and $20 on a few ads there, and you're repeating that process over and over again, you don't have anything at the end of that that says, I know how much this ad is going to run. You, in fact, are creating a system that is wildly unstable, where your costs are going to rise every single week, every single month. Now, how many of you, show of hands, have been seeing a situation where Facebook gets more and more expensive, where it's less and less stable, where you have less and less confidence, and trying to solve problems with audiences instead of creative testing properly? Now, you might think that you're doing the right thing, but each time you apply the solution, the problem gets a little bit worse. And that's because you're putting in a little band-aid that ultimately doesn't fix the institutional problem that you're bringing into the system. So to recap on all of this, if you are running creative testing by building out individual posts in an ABO campaign, we're putting in daily budgets and then increasing them on things that work and turning off ads that don't, and moving from a testing campaign to a scaling campaign, all you're doing is working really, really hard to make Facebook less and less stable and make it more and more expensive for you as you present yourself as a greater and greater liability to Facebook's bottom line. That's not the way Facebook was designed to be used. And the few people that are winning there, that are doing that at scale, have 2 things in common. One of 2 things in common. Number 1, they're running a business that's so successful they can succeed by running Facebook at a B- strategy. Or 2, their version of success looks like something like ROAS or ad spend, not actual business success. So their version of success isn't an honest one. It's a very selfish and myopic and uninformed one. And you need to understand, when you're dealing with people, what version of success they're using. Now, I hope that makes sense. And if you love this, please feel free to like and subscribe and ask any more questions on it. Until next time, I'll see you on the internet.